And
this meeting is being recorded.
so HTML, the style attribute is used to add styles to an element. Styles like the colors, the font sizes, the font families, and so on. The height, the width of, of an element. Yeah, we use these style attributes to actually add them to our HTML file. And how is this done? We have inside our tag we have the opening tag, the content, and the closing tag. So inside the opening tag we have an attribute, or we are going to add an attribute called style. It is inside this style that we're going to write our CSS code, or our styling rather, our styling. So like you can see, we have the style and we have the property. This property is the name of the style we want to give to it, and the value is what we is actually the value we want to give to the property. When I mean property, we can decide to want to give our heading a color. So the color will be the property, while the name of the color, which is blue, red, or black, will be the value. So like you can see, the property is the CSS property and the value is the CSS value. For example, we have an H1 tag that says, this is my first heading. And right here, we want to give it a background color of blue. The background color is the property, while the blue is the style. So, and if, okay, we did so many examples in our last class on Monday, where I showed us how this styling and property works, where I wrote out different headings and different paragraphs. Then I gave it a style, giving it maybe a background color, or or giving it or change the font size, which we can also, okay. Let me just go open what we did the last time. All right. So like this is what we did in the last class. This yellow background that we can see here, it is a style. I give it a background color. The background color is a property, while the value is the yellow that was given to it. Like you can see here in this highlighted line of code, we have the style. Then in the style we have our property called background color, and we have the value called yellow. So this can be done to any tag or any element in our code. So now let's proceed. Now we have different properties that we can give to our elements. We have the background property to change the background of, we have the background property to change the background of the element or the background of the page. We have the color property to change the color of a text. We have the font size to increase or decrease the size of our element or of our text. We have the font family to change the font family of our text, be it sans serif or anyone we want to use. And we have different ones. We have text align, we have the float property, we have so many, so many. And I think for our first exam assignment, I think for our first assignment, we are going to write out different different HTML elements, and we're going to give them different styling properties and the value. We are going to do that, yeah, and it will be submitted in our next, or before our next class. Our next class is on Monday, so it should be submitted, let's say, on Saturday, maybe before Saturday evening, so I can go through everything. Then aside that, I would send a file to us. In that file, there will be different elements written, but we are going to style each of the elements. I'll tell us what to do. The property we are meant to give and the value, you will impute any value. But what I want us to actually do, I will tell us then we are going to do we are going to implement it on our own, then submit it by Saturday evening. So now let's take a property which is the color, HTML color. There are different colors and they are specified with predefined color names or with RGB values, which is the red, green, and blue values. All colors are made up of different shades, and they are a combination of these three values. So they can either come in RGB values, they can either come in hexadecimal values, HEX, they can come in HSL values, RGBA, or the RSLA. The difference between the RGBA and the RGB and the RGBA value is the opacity, which is this A. How how um, how faint you want it to be to reduce the transparency or to make it more transparent. And the value of the opacity goes from 0 to 1. So you can either change the opacity. If you don't want, if you want it to be transparent, you set the opacity to be 0. And if you want it to be to display the full color, you set it to 1. So the value ranges from 0 to 1, meaning from 0 you have 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3, 0 0.4 down to 1. We are going to use all these when we start writing our codes. So okay, and this will be our second assignment, but when we get there, we're going to see it. Now, different color names. We have different colors in the world. We have tomato, we have orange, we have Belgian blue, medium sea green. We have the gray color, slated blue. We have the violets. We have the light gray. We have purple. We have so many colors, and all these colors can be represented. We can represent them in all of this. We can actually represent them with all of these values, RGB values. And okay, white takes the highest, which is 255, 255, 255, and also black. The red will be 0, the green will be 0, and the blue will be 0 to give the black color. And so the more we adjust all these things, the more the color changes. Now let us see a practical example. Let us see a practical example. So now let me go right here. Color RGB. So now, as you can see, this RGB we impute the red color, the blue color, and the green color, and the blue color. Let me give it the value of 255, 255, 255. What happens? Everything here changed to white. Let me comment out all this so we can see what I'm talking about. Let me comment out all this, and let me comment out. Comment just a minute. Okay, let me comment out all this. So now, can we actually see it? It is not really clear because let me change the background color to black so we can see it clearly. So can we all see this? Yeah, I gave the RGB value. I gave the red color. The first one is the red because this RGB stands for red, green, and blue. So the red value I give it to 55, the highest. The green value I give it to 55, and also the blue value I give it to 255. That is why we can see see this white color in here. It changed the color to white. So if I decide to change this, let me give the whole body a background color so we can see the changes clearly. Let me Let me give it blue. Yeah. Okay. So now if I change these three values to 0, 0, 0, what happens? The value changes to black. So the value changes from black, which is the very minimum of 000, to white, which is the maximum 255, 255, 255. So as this value changes, the range the color as well changes. So we can check online and see so many RGB values. If we want color green, and that means 0 will be the red value will be 0, then the green value will be 255, and the red value, sorry, the blue value will be 0. Same applies if we want a red value. We are going to change the green value to 0 and the red value to 255, and we get a red color. So we can play around all this. We can get different colors. I can give this 150, and I can give it gives me a different color. I can give this 75, and I can reduce the red color to 50. And as you can see, the more we play with this value, what happens? Everything change. So I said the difference between the RGB value and RGBA value is the opacity. Now let us see how that works. Let me give it a value of red, just red. So now this is red. Yeah, let me change the background color to black, so it can be really visible. So this is red. Now, if I want to reduce the opacity, then I'll change this RGB value. And this RGB, I will add A to it, so to give it RGBA. So now, after the red, okay, now this is the red for the first one, the green for the second one, the blue for the third one. Now the last one will now be the opacity. And I said opacity ranges from the opacity value ranges from 0 to 1. So now I give it 1 and it is all red. If I change the value to 0, what happens? It's cleared off. That means it is now totally transparent. Now if I play with this value 0.1, it's not really, we can actually see it on our screen, but it is not really clear. It is transparent, and the more I play with this value, it becomes visible. Yeah, it becomes visible. 0.5. Yeah, the more transparent you want it, the lesser the opacity value. So as we can see, and now when I take it back to Word, we get the full color of red. So that's the difference between RGB value and RGB value. So this RGB value, now look at this. Look at our code here, where I have the value, the color, and the property and the value. If I over on this, what happens? We can see the color pop out on our screen. Now, if I want to convert this, change this value, I can just come here and tap on this value up here. That's it. The value then changed to our HEX value. Now this is our HEX value. Automatically, what happened? It's changed the value for us. So now this is our HEX value. Now this one as well, just like the RGB value. The RGB value is from 0 to 255. Now this one we make use of 0, then from letter A to letter F. Now if I give it all FF, now this first two stands for the red value. The second two values, the second two stands for the green value, and the last two stand for the blue value. Now if I change this to F, all our color change to white, meaning it's just like 2F stands for 255 in RGB. So as we play around this, if I want just blue, that means I will leave the last two to be FF, and I'll change the rest to 0000. And what happens? We get our blue value. Same thing applies with the green. I'll remove this last two and I'll give the last two 00, which gives me the green value. So, and if we play or if we play with all this as well, I can say 0 0 for the red to be 0. I can say EF, and I can say 0 0. It is also blue. I sorry, also green, but not the main green. I can change this to A. Then you can see as I am playing with these colors, they are actually changing. So if we check online, we and in our browser we tell Google to convert our RGB values for us to HEX value. It's going to do this, or if we need our RGB values, we can. Okay, now let's check this out. Let me go to our Chrome and google.com. So if I say RGB value of white, because the truth is we don't really have to put all of these RGB values in our head. Yeah, the internet is there for us. Because how many of these values are we going to put? But we need we can actually learn the most important ones like the white, the blue, the black, the green, the red, the very important ones. So now if we look at this, set the RGB value of white, it's brought out the RGB value to be 255, 255, 255. So we can do the same thing and set for the HEX value of white. Let's bring it out. Let's bring it out hashtag FFFFFF. So when we need all these values in our code, we can just come online and check out all these values, provided or depending on the ones we actually need. So, and okay, that is it for the colors. So different color names, because we cannot give all of our colors. We cannot give everything names here. So that is why we need all these RGB values. We can want color orange, but yeah, we can. Okay, we can want the orange color, and but not the exact orange. So we might want to reduce the opacity or get a lighter orange, not exactly this orange. So all we have to do is to use either the RGB value or the HEX value, because the computer only or the inter or our computer only knows the basic colors like the orange and all. So to get a name for each and every one of it will be quite difficult. So we can just go online and check out all these values. We can just play around. Yeah, we can play around with them and just get different values. So now that's for the color. Now talking about the background color, we treated this in the last class where I gave a section in our HTML file. I give it a color of yellow. So we can change the background color of anything. I can decide to change the background color of just this that we can see here. I can decide to change just the background color of these two, and this should have a different background color. This should have a different background color. And how do we do this? It's by giving each of them a style attribute, setting its property to be background color and setting the value to be the color in which we want to give the background. Let's see a practical example. Where's our browser? Yeah, okay. Let me remove this and let me change. Okay, so let me uncomment all this out. So now we're back to this. Now I want to give each and every one of it a background color. How do I do this? I can decide to give the body, which is the whole container, a background color of blue. Now let me do that first. First thing, you give it a style, and you write your property, which is we are giving it a background color. I reset the value to be blue. What happens? The whole container changed to blue. Now moving to the next one, which is the first. Okay, let me say the first div, which comprises of this. Or yeah, I want to give just this div a a background color of white. How do I do this? Inside our first div, which is this, I'll give the div a style attribute. I give it a background color as a property, and the value I'll set it to white. What happens? It gets the background color of white. And each of the lines here, I can decide to give each of them a background color as well. All I just have to do, they are all H1 tags or H1 elements. So I can decide to give each and every one of them a color. What do I do? I'll just have to give each of them a style property and a background color. Let me give the first one red. Let me copy and paste each and every one of them. Let me give this one yellow. Let me give this black. Let me give this purple. Let me give this aqua. And let me give this green. Now, each and every one of the elements in the section, I gave each of them a different background color. As you can see, they have their parent background color, which is white, and in each of them, I'm not giving each of them a particular background color. Now, I can decide as well and give the paragraph as well a background color. All I just have to do is to give the paragraph a style attribute, a property, and a background color, and I can give this. I can just check out any color, maybe brown. Now what happens? Its background changes to brown. Now same with the color. I can decide to change the color of each and every one of the elements, all by giving it the property called color and the value of each of the uh, of each of the color I want to give each of them. Now that's it about setting a background for an element or for the whole page. So now after this background, after thinking about this background color, we can as well check out the border. Okay, let's style each of the text as well. So we can see that we can change the text color. After this background color, there should be a semicolon after your property after your value. So as to write other properties. So now let's give the first one a color. Let me give it a color of white. The color changes to white. I can go to the next one and as well give it a color property and change the value to tomato. I can do the same here as well. Give it a color property and I can change the value to red. And what happens? The color changes. So on and on and on and on, we can do same thing to every other element in our code. This is just how it is to set to set the color property or to give our element a color property. So now aside that, we have other properties called border color. Now, what is a border? A border is just a border is a line drawn around our elements. Lines drawn around our elements. Now, let us see a practical example of of this. Now let's take this first heading. This is an H1 tag. This is an H1 tag. For example, now we go to that line of code. Where is it? We can see it right here. This is an H1 tag. This is it. So we want to give it a background color. Sorry, a border color. We want to give it a border color. Now, what do we do? Like we can see here, all we just have to do is to set the width of the background. Oh, sorry, the width of the border. Tell what kind of border we want, and also the color. Now, let us see how this works. Sorry, I want to minimize this. Okay, now let us see how this works. Okay, so after our color, and we have our semicolon. Now let me write border. So now first we have to specify the thickness of the border, how we want the thickness of the border to be. So we can say we want it to be 1 pixel. Then we can say we want it to be solid, and we can give it a color of black. Then what happens? It gets a border around it. Now let us make this visible by increasing the thickness. Let us make it 5 pixels. Now can we all see? It gives it a border around it. Now it gives a border around it. I can change this color. I can change this color to yellow. I can give it any color. So, but let's just maintain the black color so it can be really visible. Now, this solid right here, I can change the shape. How I want the border to look. I can make it solid. I can make it dotted. And what happens? It gives a dotted border around it. Yeah, there are so many values we can give to this. Now, if we don't want to, now this is actually a short form for the border, writing everything together. We can decide to just write them separately, but yeah, we can decide to write them separately. How do we do that? Like I said, this first one is the border width. This second one is the style, and this third one is actually the color given to the border. Now I can decide to write everything separately by doing what? Now the first one is the border width. Border width, I can set it to 5 pixels. Then after that one, I can do the border style, and I can give it dotted like we did the other time. And I can also and lastly I said the color, border color. I can give it white. Sorry, black rather. Then what happened? We got the same value or the same results. But instead of writing each and every one of it as the border width, border style, border color, HTML has helped us in combining everything together, whereby we can just write the border as a property, and for the value, specify the three of them, starting from the width to the style to the color, and we're going to get the same value. So this is how we actually give a border to an element. Now we can use this to actually create a box. How do we do that? All what we just have to do is to create a div, and now let's give it a style. I will give let's do the border first. Sorry, the border. I give it 3 pixel. So let me just where is it? Okay. 5 pixel solid. I'll give it black. Now it is not really visible. Okay, we can see. Okay, it is even visible. We can see now. It is visible because of the thickness I give to it. If I reduce this thickness to 0, we can see that we are no longer going to see it on our screen. But let's change the thickness to 5. So now we can see the thickness on our screen. But this is not a box. Now to get a box, all we just have to do is to specify the height and the width of the div of the element. Specify the height and the div of the element. Now if I give this 50 pixel and a width. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm coming. I know it. On a width of 50. Okay. My cable is moving. All right. Okay. So our 5 pixel and our 5 pixel is really small. Let's make it 50 and 50. What happened? We got a box of a width of 50 and a height of 50. Now we can play around this. We can give the box a color or a background color, and we can give it a background color, and we can give it a background color of green, and we get the background color to be green. So this is how a simple box is being created. Just a div, and we set the height and the width. They give it a border. If we remove this border, yeah, it is still going to work as, yeah, but there will be no border around it. As you can see, it will just be a plain box without a border. But to give that border around it, we have to specify the border there, and that will actually give it a border. So that's how to set the border, the border color, or set the border of an element. So now we spoke about the different the different colors you can get using the RGB value, the HEX, and the HSL. Now these three are actually the same thing, but this one is for the RGB, and this is the RGB value. While this is the HEX value of the same color, and this is the HSL value of the same color. So why are all these colors? Why do we need all these colors? If we are working with a UI/UX designer, the UI/UX designer might just decide to use the HSL value or whatever. Then all we just have to do is to use the value together with them, or we can convert it to RGB value, or we can convert it to HEX value, and we just make use of it. So different colors, depending on which we're comfortable with, can actually use any color. So moving to how we can leave a comment when we want to, let's say we are working with other developers, or we are writing a line of code and we need other developers to know the reason why we have written a line of code. That is why we need to leave a comment. yeah, HTML comments are not displayed in the browser. Yeah, they cannot see them in the browser. They can only be kept in our code, in our documents. Yeah, anyone that's working with our documents will actually see this. But in the web page, in on our screen, when we are viewing it in our web browser, we are not going to see this. Yeah, we are not going to see this. And okay, this is an example. And how do we do this? We start with a less than sign, an exclamation mark, two dash. Then we write whatever comment we want to drop or we want to write in our code. Then after that, we end it with two dash as well. Two dashes, then a greater than sign. Now let's try this in our code. Now look at this box here. Okay, this box in which we wrote. Now, if I want to drop a comment, if I want to drop a comment, I can just write a box. Now, a box is actually displayed here in our browser. It is displayed in our browser, but let me let me make it bigger so we can really see it clearly. So now it is displayed in our browser, as we can see here, a box. Can we all see it? So now to uncomment this out, that we don't want it to be displayed in our browser, but we want to specify that any or want to tell anybody working on our page, working on our documents, that this is a box. What we just have to do is before this a box, before this sentence, we write a less than sign, an exclamation mark, two dashes, then then after after it, we do the same thing, two dashes, then a greater than sign, and what happens? It leaves our page. It leaves our page. It is no longer visible on our web browser, but we can see it in our code. We can see it in our code. It is written here as a box, but we cannot see it on and in our browser. Why? Because it is a comment. It is a comment. Now we can use this to like leave comments on our code. So when we are writing so many lines of code and we have to like go back to it to understand or to remember the reason for which we have done this, yeah, we can now drop this line of code there, and it will be very easy to like understand why we have done a certain thing. Sorry, please, a minute. So now that is how we leave a comment on our page. Now this is an example. Yeah, this is a new paragraph. Now this is a new paragraph will not be displayed on our browser, but it will be displayed in our code. Now it's just to inform anybody that's reading the code that this is a new paragraph. This is a new paragraph. That is just the usefulness of this line of code. That's the usefulness of this line of code. So now, okay, we're going to like read more on RGB values and the HEX value. Yeah, we are just going to like check out different values online. In the right, the blue, the green, yellow, purple, different values. We can just go online and check out the RGB value of white. The heading tag as well. If I want to change the styling, yeah, I don't want it to be inline. This is inline styling, like I said. This is inline styling. So I want it to be an internal styling. I want everything up here. I want everything up here. I don't want them together with all this. All I just have to do is to write the name of the elements here, H1, which is what I want to style. Then a curly bracket. after it, then inside the curly bracket is where I will now write all my style, and if I cut it all out, we can see that it is out. Now, if I go back here and I paste everything here, what happens? The same thing appears in here. So same thing with the H2. If I remove this as well, if I remove this as well, and I come here and I write H2 and I paste it all here, what happens? The same styling is inherited, and whatever we are doing inline, we can actually do it and inside the air. So now this is the difference between inline styling and what's it called? And internal styling. So now, what is the usefulness of inline styling? This internal styling over inline styling. Let's say I have another H2 element, What happens? Both of them takes the same styling. Why? Because I specify that every H2 in my elements should have this styling. But if I'm doing it, if it is an inline styling, I will have to write the same CSS code here. I have to write my style attribute here, and I have to write my style attribute as well in here. But instead of doing that, instead of going through the stress of writing code, you just have to do everything in our style, and it's going to like affect everything over here. Take for instance, we have like 5 different elements that want to give a particular color. All we just have to do is to set the class name, and we don't have to be giving all of the 5 different elements the same attributes over and over again. All we just have to do is to come into our style elements here and just give one particular property or give one particular value, and it's going to affect the whole 5 elements. Now, let us see for example. So, okay, this H1 element, let us give it a class name as FST. Let us give this H3 as well a class name of the same FST. And now let us give H6 a class name of FST. And after that, let us as well give this P a class name called FST. Now we can all see this, right? So now, what I want to do, I want to come over here and say that okay, all of what I are given a class name of FST. Everything, instead of giving everything this, the same style over and over again, I just want to set the whole FST to a particular thing. Now let's say I want to give everything a border of let's say I want to give everything a border of, okay, no, don't let me use 5 pixels. Let me use 2 pixels. 2 pixels. Then I want to give it a okay. I want to make it solid as well, and I want to give it a background, a color of okay. Let me just use black. What happened? Okay, let me make it very visible. Let me give another color of aqua. What happened? Now we can see. Let me change this to black so it will be really visible. So we can see that now I give H1 a class of FST. This is the H1, and I gave FST a border of 2 pixels solid and aqua. It's it actually got that. And the same thing together with the H3, which says this is an H3 tag. I gave it the class of FS tag, so this is an H3 tag. You can see that it got the same border as this, the same thing with this, and the same thing with this. All I just had to do was give it a class of FST. You can set the class to anything. You can set the class to anything, but I give it a class of FST, and I gave them the same class name of FST. Then I came up here and I set the the border color of, and I set the border color of the border of the FST to be equals this, and everything at once took this value. Same thing, I can just decide to, like, say I want the font size to be 5 pixels. And what happened? Everything affects it. I can say I want everything to be 50 pixels. And what happened? Everything, just what has that value of FST. This is an H1 tag, got that font size of 50. This is an H3 tag of 50. This as well of 50, and the paragraph too of 50. All I just had to do was to set a class name. So now this is the usefulness of internal styling over inline styling. Yeah, it helps us set a value, or give our elements a particular property and a value. Yeah, give different elements particular property and a value, rather than setting everything to have the same thing over and over again. Instead of writing the same code over and over again, you just have to, like, give it a class name or an ID that sets that value to it. Now, okay, so after this, okay, so this is what internal styling is. This is what internal styling is about. Now, after internal styling, the next word, which is the third word, is an external styling. External styling. I did this last Thursday as well. So, what is external styling? Or how do we make use of it? Now, from the word external, it means we are not writing the code, or we are not giving the style inside of our HTML code. We are writing it somewhere else. We are writing it somewhere else, but we are getting the value inside our code. Inside our code. Now, how is this done? How is this done? We are dealing with CSS here. Yeah, we are dealing with CSS here, and all we just have to do is to write. Okay, let us create a new file name called start.css. And so now to import or to make everything that you're doing in your external file visible, to make it visible, all you have to do is to link both of them together. We want to link our HTML file to our CSS file, or we want to link our CSS file to our HTML file. So how do we do this? Still inside our head tag. Inside our head tag, we have to specify, or we have to write an attribute called the link. Now, inside this link, we have an attribute called style sheets. We have an attribute called style sheets. Now, and we also have the second attribute called href. If we remember, when we're talking about anchor tag in our last class, we make use of this href. And this href is telling our browser that we are taking us to a particular look at this link in here, and this is what I want to happen. So now the same thing happens in this our link tag, or this our link element. We have to specify the name of the style sheet we want to use. We have to specify the name of the style sheet we want to use. Like I said, the full meaning of CSS is cascading style sheets. Yeah, that's why we have this name here, cascade style sheets. So we have to specify the name of what we want. And the name of our CSS file is style.css, styl.css. So now, after writing this, all we have to do is to go into our style.css and start writing our styling. Now, the same code we are going to write in this style.css is the same code we are writing in this inside this style. The same code we are inside this style. It's the same code we're going to write in our external styling. We don't want so many lines of code here. That is why we have. That is why we can style our file in another file. So now, if I remove all this, style components or the style elements, come here and paste everything. What happens? It gives us the very same styling in which is in our style elements. This is the difference between inline styling, internal styling, and external styling. Internal styling, we are doing it inside our code, inside our HTML file, but external, we are doing it outside of our HTML file. But whatever we do in our internal styling, we can also do in our external styling. But we do it outside of our external outside of our internal styling, so that we can have more so as to reduce the code we are writing on one page or on one file. So and it makes it more readable and more easy to arrange our codes. So in line styling will be done together with our code. It will be done in specifying the property and the value. Same thing apply with the styling. We do and we specify an element called style.
Meeting is being recorded.
And inside it. Same applies with our external style. We okay. This is a very good example. Like I did because like I showed you was inside of our inside of our file we have the style property. We have the style element and we give each and every element that we want to style. We write them there and we write the styling together with inside a curly bracket. Inside a curly bracket. Now this is an example of an internal styling. This is an example of an internal styling. Same thing, an external styling. We did the same thing, but it's been done outside of our HTML file. And this is also an example. We have to link the both of them together, the HTML file and the CSS file. We have to link them with this element called link. And we have to specify that the relative part is a style sheet, and the link in which you're going to like get your styling from is called style.css. It's called style.css, and every other thing in your code will be written there. So now same thing. We can talk about the colors, the font sizes, the font family. We can give them the same properties or the same attribute that has been done in our inline styling. We can do them in our external and internal styling, which is all this. So now let us talk about, okay, we spoke about border already. So now let us talk about padding and margins. Padding and margins. Paddings and margins. So now what is a padding? Before I show us the practical example. Now a padding is a space between your between your elements and the border, or it can be a text value, it can be whatever. So a padding is a property that defines the space, or it is the space between your text and the border. The property between your text and the border. That is what padding is called. The distance or the space between your text or the space between your elements and the border is what is called padding. Now, let us see. Let us see. Let us see a practical example. Now, Okay, in this our FST class, in this our FST class, we know what the class in which we give, sorry, the elements in which we give this class FST, the H1, the H3, the H6, and our paragraph. We can see all the FST has this border of aqua, this border of aqua. So now what happens when I give it a padding? What happens when I give it a padding? Now let me give it a padding of 20, sorry, of 25, sorry, of 22 pixel. What happened? Can we all see what happened? It gave it a padding rounded, padding top of 22, padding left of 22, padding right of 22, then the remaining to the right fills everything. So we give it a padding of 22. What happened? The space between the text and the border then did what? Then shifted. You can see it now has a padding of 22 all around it. If I play around this value, if I give it 50, what happens? It becomes bigger. The distance between here and here is 50 pixel. Distance between here and here is 50 pixel. Distance between here and here is 50 pixel. So now, same thing applies with this. Same thing applies with this. Now, what if I just want to give this one a padding of 50, give this a padding of 20, give this a padding of 30? How do I do this? Now, instead of giving all round value of 50, all I just have to do is to set the okay, is to set the padding top and give it this value of 50. Then what happened? Only the top got the value of 50. Only the top got the value of 50. Same thing, I can copy this and just give the make a padding bottom, and I can set the value to 20. What happened? Only the padding top has only the top has a padding of 50, then the bottom has a padding of 20. Now, if I want to give the padding left to be 30, all I just have to do is to copy, okay, change this bottom to what? To left, and change the value to 30. Then what happens? It moves away from the left by 30 pixel. It's moved away from the left by 30 pixel. So instead of writing padding top, padding bottom, padding left, padding right, all HTML has okay, it has made it easier for us, whereby we can just specify the padding and we'll just write the value of everything, and everything works as planned. So let us see how that works. Let me bring this. Sorry, let me bring this down here, and let me comment out this one. Then let us see something. Okay. Now this 50 pixel that took here 50 pixel, here 50 pixel, here 50 pixel, here 50 pixel. It's the same thing I was saying: 50 pixel, 50 pixel, 50 pixel, 50 pixel. There is no difference. There is no difference. Now, if I start changing the value, we will now see that there is actually a difference. 40. And let me give the left 20. Let me change the top this to 20 as well. What happened? The values are changing. Now, how do I know which is which? So the first value signifies the value or indicates that, okay, this is for the top. So this first value is the top value. And as you're moving clockwise, like from the top to your right, to the bottom, to your left, that is how we specify all these values. So now this 20 pixel is for the top value. This 50 pixel, which is the second one, is 90 degrees to the right, your right value. Now this 40 pixel is 90 pixel, That's decreased as well from the right, which is the bottom value, and this as well is the left value. Now, let us do it again. Let me change it to 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, we've gone back to default, whereby everything is 0, 0, 0. So now, if I want to give the top only a padding of 70 pixels, I'll just give the first value 70 pixels. And what happens? Only the top changes. Only the top changes. Now, let me return it back to 0. If I give this right 70 pixels, the right changes, but we cannot see it because the value here is actually not to the right. Now, let me add more value. Okay. So, okay, sorry. Let me go back there. Let me remove the 70. So now we can see that now that this text has filled up the whole space, there is no padding around it. So now let me start again from the first one, which is the top. Like I said, the first one is for the top, the next one to the right, the next one the bottom, the next one to the left. So now let me adjust the first one, 70 pixel. What happens? Only the top changes. Now it gives it a padding of 70 pixel to the top. Like I said, the padding is the distance from the text to the border. Now let me remove this and go to the next one. Let me give the next one 70 pixel. What happens? It gives it a padding to the right as 70 pixel. If I do the same thing to the third one, what happens? It changes the distance between the text and the border bottom to be what 70 pixel. And same thing applies to the last one, which is the left. It gives it a padding to the left of 70 pixel. So now this is what padding is all about. Giving it a predefined space, or giving it a space between itself and its container, between itself and its container. So now that is what padding is. Now the next one is margin. Now what is a margin? A margin is a property that defines a space outside of the border, outside of the border. So now let's look at this. For the padding, it defines the space between the text and the border. But a margin defines the space between the border and the outer part. Between the border and the outer part. Now let us see how that works. Now this is a margin. Now if I give everything a margin of sorry. If I give everything a margin of 40 pixel, what happened? Let me remove it again. You can all see the distance between this and this. You can see the distance between the border here and the other blue out here. Yeah, you can see the distance between this and this, and you can also see the distance between this border here and this one as well. So now, if I now give it a margin of 40, what I expect to happen is that it should give itself a distance from it should distance itself from every other thing around it by 40 pixels, and that is what happens when I did this. What happened? The distance between here and here is 40. The distance between here and here is 40. The distance between here and here as well is 40. The distance between here and here is as well 40. Just like we did with the padding, we can as well do the same thing with the margin. The fourth pixel takes the whole space. So now, if I copy paste 70, 70, 70, it tells the browser that the first one should be the margin between the border and the top, and other things that are up. Why the next one should give it should be the margin, the space between itself and what is to the right. And same thing, the third one, the space, the distance between itself and what is down, or what is below it, and as well to the left, the distance between itself and what is to the left. So now, if we play around these values to see how to see how they work, let me remove all the 70 and just set the value to 0. Restore it back to how it was before initially. So now, like I said, the first one, the first one,
The padding
yeah,
is the space between the text and the border.
yeah,
The border is this one like this.
yeah,
Like box.
yes, the border is the box.
text.
The text is what is inside it.
The text and the border.
Yeah,
Is the padding.
yeah,
Why the margin is outside.
yeah, outside the border. The distance between the border and every other thing that is outside it.
Not inside.
Not inside it. Not inside it. The space between anything that is inside the border is the padding, while the margin is the space outside the border. Yeah. So now let us look at the first value. Let's say I give the first value a 50 pixel. What happened? Let's look at what happened to this thing over here. Let me give it 50 pixel. It comes down by 50 pixel. It comes down by 50 pixel. So now if I remove it, it goes back. If I go to the second word and I give it a value of 50 pixel, I expect the distance between here and here to be 70 pixel. So it should adjust itself, yes, to the right. So it should, yeah, so it should adjust itself. Now, as we can see, it has adjusted itself by 70 pixel. Same thing applies to the third one. If I give this one 200 pixel, what happens? It gives itself a distance, or it gives itself an extra space of 200 pixel from what is below it. And same thing to the last one as well. If I give it 50 pixel, what happens? It gives itself a distance to the left of 50 pixel. So this is what margin and padding is all about. Now let me put it to the center. Let me give it 70 pixel from the top. Let me give it 70 pixel from the top. So now let me play with the margin with the padding again. So you can see that if you give it a space inside, it's giving a space inside the border and a space outside the border. Let me give it 20 pixel, 20 pixel, 20 pixel, and 20 pixel. What happened? You can see it has 20, a space around it of 20 pixels all around, and aside the padding, we now have a margin around it as well, having different values. So that's the difference between a padding and a margin. We can do the same thing to our box over here. Let me give it a class called box. Now I'm giving it a class called box. Now let us style the box. And so to style a class name, all you have to do is to write a dot before the name of the class. Write a dot before the name of the class. Write a dot before the name of the class. Then your curly bracket is now inside the curly bracket that you have your styling. So now let's go back to, so this is the box here. It is now let us give it a padding to the left. No, sorry, a margin to the left, so that it will be away from from the left. So I can give it a padding left of 50 pixel. And what happened? Oh, sorry, I said margin rather. Margin left of 50 pixel. So what happened? It gives itself a distance to the left. It gives itself a distance to the left. It gives itself a distance to the left. So now the same thing. If I do margin bottom and I give it 100 100 pixel, what happened? It gives itself a distance to the bottom. It gives itself a distance to the bottom of 100 pixel. Now, if I want to give it a padding, let me write something.